Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio, presented by Brotherwell Brewing.
It's Gronkowski back again.
Here's Paul Catalina, Steve May, and Grayson Grundhaver.
Welcome into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports. Please take a chance to like and subscribe when you get a chance. If you don't, you'll lose all the fantasy football games for the rest of the year. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Grayson Grundhaver, and of course, we're brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing, and we'll tell you where Steve May is in a second. But just a little sip right here to start off with the ice cold Act of Faith from Brotherwell Brewing. Oh, man, that's good stuff right there. Grayson, Steve is not with us this week. It is his wife Jennifer's birthday, so he took the night off in order to spend the time with her.
I think that's a good excuse. I think it's valid. You know, yeah. I'm sure Steve was very conflicted with what he was going to do, but ultimately probably made the right choice.
Look, there's only one way to get true bonus points, and that's to, go hang out with your wife and not try to rework the schedule around your fantasy football show.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think his wife's very happy about that.
Yeah. I'm not married. My girlfriend lives in the house with me. I said lives in the house with me, but she lives with me. So I get it. I'm not there. I'm on the outskirts of marriage currently. So you don't want to mess with that. I know this, and I know that for your sake as a married person and my sake, we try to do this show as quickly, as efficiently as possible to bring the amount of content to our viewers and listeners as we can.
Yeah, that's very true. And as someone that is married, I know that he made a very wise decision this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks to Brotherwell Brewing for their sponsorship of the show. All right, Grayson, I had a great week in fantasy football, at least in season long. Daily was not great for me. Last week, it was for you. You won our daily fantasy league for the week, our group. You had a great one. I went 3-0. In my leagues this week, and I couldn't feel better about it considering that, Devontae Adams, one of my main players in two different leagues, had COVID. I overcame it. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I had a great week as well. I went 4-2, but my two main leagues I won in, my two that I care about the most. And actually, Paul, just a quick story. I was up by, I want to say 15 points going into the Monday Night Football game. And my opponent had Zeke and Tony Pollard. I won by 0.2 points.
Holy cow. Holy cow. That last pass must have given you some serious stomach cramps.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I was, so obviously it's never fun when you're sitting there watching the score just continue to creep up on you a little bit with the game going on. So I was able to survive that. But my other leagues, I did really well. I only drafted Derrick Henry in one of my 7 leagues. So obviously that's probably the biggest news of the week fantasy-wise. There's been some pretty big NFL stories, obviously, today alone. Well, but Derrick Henry's the big fantasy one.
Well, there's 3 that we'll cover, and I'll start with the most tragic one first. And Henry Ruggs is no longer on the Las Vegas Raiders. He has been released, and probably, you're not going to see Henry Ruggs in the league for a good long time after an accident. With the details coming out about that are just really, really, really sad. Driving under the influence, 156 miles an hour, struck another car, and a woman and her dog passed away as a result of that accident. So Henry Ruggs has a long road ahead of him, and it's just tragic story all the way around, and especially for that woman and her family.
Yeah, and he's lucky to be alive. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you've seen the pictures of that crash, his car was totaled. I mean, it's just very scary story, and obviously my heart goes out to that family because you hate to see it. And then as far as Ruggs goes, yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be in jail. The sentence, I think the minimum's like two years in prison. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, you hate to see it. And it's just one of those tragic stories that came out this week where I think everyone was just shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, the other one would be, and these are just football things, so it's not life and death, but Derrick Henry, probable Jones fracture in his foot, had surgery, more than likely out for the year. And this changes everything with the Tennessee Titans. It changes how valuable A.J. Brown becomes, or Julio Jones when he comes back. If Adrian Peterson has any value at all, Jeremy McNichols, there's so many factors to this. Ryan Tannehill's value. Everything changes based on how the Titans have to react to having the best weapon in football. And I think that's what he is, because he can absolutely close things out. The most dominant player not on your roster.
Yeah, it's tough to see. He was the only running back averaging 20 or more fantasy points per game in PPR leagues. And yeah, like you said, I think this drastically affects Ryan Tannehill. He's probably going to throw the ball significantly more. A.J. Brown is looking like a guy who could ascend in the second half of the season. We'll see what happens when Julio comes back. And yeah, I mean, Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols were huge waiver wire pickups. And the thing that no one really talks about, because obviously the huge injury to Henry is the story, but Tennessee had a young player, Darrington Evans, who they were really excited about, who hit the IR and won't play the rest of this season. But I think if he was healthy, they might not have gone out and signed Adrian Peterson. So I think that's another part of the story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last bit of news, which is maybe a 2-week, possibly more, depending on how sick he winds up being, but Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID-19. He's unvaccinated, which means he's out for 10 days. Technically, you could see him being out for 2 games if he doesn't get back in time for next week's game. He's definitely not playing against the Chiefs, and that means Jordan Love, which affects Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard if he's back and all of that. So the Packers have a COVID problem right now here in the middle of the season, and not good.
Yeah, we're about to see the same formula they used against the Cardinals. They are going to hand the ball off to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon 50 times, or as many times as they can. I think this hurts Devontae Adams probably the most. It's just so hard to kind of talk about the connection that he and Aaron Rodgers have. I mean, it is just so efficient, and it's very clear that Aaron Rodgers trusts him. We just don't know if Jordan Love will have that same connection with Adams. And so that's a question that's going to have to be answered. I actually think Aaron Jones will be in a good situation here, because I think Jordan Love's going to be throwing him the ball a ton on checkdowns and things like that. So big storyline, definitely affects things fantasy-wise, and we'll see what happens. That was huge news that came out, and he said he was immunized, but that's not the same as vaccinated, apparently. So,
no, I think he was counting natural immunity, which the NFL does not count. That's not in their policy, and I'm not getting in the weeds on that at all. Right. But it's just, to the NFL, that doesn't matter. And of all the guys on my team I would want to be vaccinated, it's the quarterback. And all definitely. Of them I would want. And I'm not trying to take a stance here, although if people watch our regular show, then I'm very pro-vaccine. But just in the fact that if you're vaccinated and test positive, you can be back in a week, as opposed to if you're unvaccinated and you test positive, it's 10 days. You can be back by a Thursday night game, even if you have the 2 negative tests. I mean, could you imagine if this happened in the playoffs? And it probably will. It probably will, knowing the year that's happened. But if Aaron Rodgers had gotten this in the playoffs, I mean, what a way to leave Green Bay. You don't even get to play in the final playoff game. Well, and the other thing is I think things are maybe going better for him in Green Bay, and he was starting to maybe, get comfortable again. But who knows? I mean, if I was the organization, I'd be a little bit miffed, and I'm sure Indianapolis is a little annoyed as well, as he's playing with Carson Wentz, because this could pop up with him, and the Vikings with Kirk Cousins the same way, because of all that. Lamar Jackson's had COVID, I think, twice, and wasn't. So it's one of those things where, however you feel about the vaccine or not, just based on the rules, you kind of want to get the vaccine.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as a Colts fan, I mean, geez, if the Colts happen to be making a playoff push at the end of the year and then he gets COVID and I have to sit there and watch Sam Ehlinger throw the ball for the Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to probably be watching the Colts lose by 30 the last 3 games of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, some other news, injury-wise. The Cardinals are really banged up after that Thursday night game. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. That's going to be interesting to watch as the week goes on.
Yeah, it will. And I mean, if Kyler can't play, then Colt McCoy is the quarterback for the Cardinals, which is kind of a throwback name. But yeah, they've been saying Kyler's injury is something that should be kind of one of those 1 to 3 week injuries. So I think if he does play, you're going to be seeing a guy that kind of looks similar to how Patrick Mahomes looked at times last year when he was dealing with his ankle issue. And so I'm just curious as to how that affects the offense. I actually think if Hopkins is healthy, it might help him if Kyler has to stand in the pocket a little bit more and throw him the ball, just target him constantly. But it hurts their offense as a whole because that's a huge part of it. When Kyler's able to get out of the pocket and make things happen, it creates a lot of deep shot opportunities and just makes their offense more effective. And obviously that's probably been the most effective offense we've seen this year, along with probably Tampa Bay and the Rams, but it's up there.
All right, let's talk about the Rams because they made the move of all moves at the trade deadline. Most of them were not really all that earth-shattering. You know, some of the guys we thought might get traded, like Evan Ingram, I'm shocked the Giants didn't trade him. That was a waste of getting a draft pick out of somebody, and maybe a higher draft pick than you would get, because Evan Ingram is a free agent, and they're not going to bring him back. The Packers probably giving you a 4th-round pick for him, honestly, because they don't have a tight end right now.
You think so? I don't think the Packers gave them anything.
No, I know, but maybe they're not. Maybe that. But maybe that's why they didn't trade him. But I still think I think even you can it's a waste not to trade him. To me, it's a waste for the Giants not to trade anybody that did call you on.
Right. I mean, I felt like for the Colts, it was a waste not to trade Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that at all. But yeah, I mean, so the Rams get Von Miller. And that defense, I mean, if you kept that defense, you're going to be pretty happy. They get to play the Titans this week without Derrick Henry. So, and if you have them on your roster, you're playing them.
Von may or may not play this week. He's got a bit of an ankle thing, so we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him suit up and then just send him in there and situation. Go hit your former college teammate.
Right, and I mean, this is a clear sign that the Rams are saying, hey, now, we know we're going to have to beat the Buccaneers in the playoffs. We know we're going to have to beat the Green Bay Packers. We know we're going to have to beat the Arizona Cardinals. All those teams have very, very good quarterbacks, and you got to find a way to create pressure.
And the Cowboys are in that too.
And the Cowboys, yeah. But having a guy like Von Miller mixed with Aaron Donald, who creates just, I mean, that's going to create total problems for every offensive line they face.
Well, and I know that, Von Miller's a free agent. I would not be surprised to see him re-sign with the Rams going into next year. Because, again, the Rams are going to have to maybe do something in free agency. Salary cap be damned, because that's a lot of this going on. They don't have a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round pick next year. They are going for it now.
They don't care about draft picks.
They don't care.
They don't care.
At least not in the immediate future. They don't care about draft picks.
No.
They're trying to go for it now. That's why you go get Stafford. That's why you go get Von Miller, because you're going for it now. All right, when we come back, let's do Stardom Sit-'em with Grayson Grunhafer, and we'll go through it. And then let's do Stardom Sit-'em and daily fantasy kind of combined, Grayson. And then we'll really draw, because Hayden Bumpus is going to have to make a pick this week again on our weekly Thursday night thing, which is the Jets and Colts. So and get ready. You're going to have the first pick as a Colts fan. You're going to have the first pick. So we're going to put it on you this week at our daily fantasy draft. So get ready.
Perfect. I'm excited. I was hoping you'd give me the first pick and the last pick, or maybe a middle pick, or maybe I get 3 picks this week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, listen, you're a Colts fan. We're going to take your advice on this. We won $1.50 last week, so
we're moving.
Yeah. Thanks, Bowling for Soup. We appreciate it, Jarrett. But $1.50. All right, when we come back, Stardom Sit-'em in both season-long and daily fantasy. This is the Fantasy Football Show on 365 Sports. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry, BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports. Please like and subscribe when you get a chance, because it's the lifeblood of YouTube, and you should like and subscribe. Thanks to Brotherwell Brewing, our fantastic sponsor, here on the Fantasy Football Show, 300 East Bridge Street here in Waco. What a great place! What an awesome brewery! Great beer. Grayson, I think I've cut into your stash that I got for you, so I'll have to get some more when you're here for the Baylor Oklahoma game.
Yeah, I'm sad about that because I keep on coming up on Tuesdays and not grabbing the beer that's specifically there for me. You sit it out for me. I see it most times when I walk in, and I just completely forget to take it home with me. So
yeah, well, this is the last of this one, so I'll have to get you some new.
Oh, because I like the Act of Faith.
Yeah,
there was another, and I like the wit as well. That one's good too.
That's this one right here. That's right here on the front of the stage. So yeah, and if you're a craft beer fan and coming into Waco, coming in to get Waco for a game, swing by there. It's right down near the stadium. So stone's throw. So you can go in and load up on Brotherwell on a game day. All right, hey, Grayson, let's go into Stardom, Situm, and Hayden. Do you have any fantasy football questions this week for us?
I mean, my team is just a disaster right now, so I don't even know what to do at this point.
We'll go into that before we do our draft.
That
in the
sounds
next
good,
segment.
yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do Let's Help Hayden, and then we'll do that. But Stardom, Situm, let's go quarterbacks. Grayson.
Okay, so obviously you want to start the top guys. We say this every week, but I'll reiterate it. Start the top 8 guys. They're going to be great plays. I would also say in daily fantasy for the quarterback position, I mean, you might want to spend up this week because you got Josh Allen versus Jacksonville, Kyler Murray versus San Francisco, Lamar Jackson versus Minnesota, and those are great matchups. I think it might be wise to spend up, but I also really like Tua Tagovailoa. He takes on Houston this week, 5,800. I mean, I just think that's a steal for a guy who 2 out of his 3 performances has been a top 10 quarterback. So really like Tua this week. I like Joe Burrow against Cleveland as well. I think Joe Burrow can have some success there, specifically because I don't think they'll be able to run the ball as effectively as they're used to against that Browns front 4. And then I also really like Carson Wentz this week. Taking on the Jets, I think that he's going to give you fantasy points. I think he'll at least throw a touchdown or 2, probably 2 or 3 touchdowns to be honest, and I think he'd be a nice play. As far as sits go, I'm not really interested in playing Matt Ryan against the Saints. That's a tough matchup. And then Derek Carr versus the Giants. I mean, the way Patrick Mahomes looked this week against the Giants, it makes me a little weary about quarterbacks playing against New York right now for some reason. You wouldn't think that's a scary matchup, but I think it kind of is this week for Derek Carr, especially with what's going on with the Raiders, honestly. Over the past really 4 weeks, it's been kind of a tough time for them.
All right, yeah, I agree with you on that, and it's going to be interesting in that Thursday night game with the Colts and Jets. Carson Wentz has really been playing well. It's kind of under the radar because they're 3-5, but you know, it's looking like a better and better move for the Colts as the season goes on.
I agree. I agree with you. I mean, if you take away the final, 2 minutes and overtime of the game against the Titans, yeah, he played a great game. But the problem with Wentz is, and it's happened time and time again, his mistakes typically are big mistakes.
He doesn't make a lot of them. But
No,
when he does, the interception he threw against the 49ers was him trying to make too much happen. Then I get that was a really bad decision against the Titans last week, and I get it because he was in the end zone. That's the safety is even worse at that point because you're going to kick the ball right back to them. And so I get trying to do it, and look, it wound up not mattering in that moment. The Titans still won it overtime, but it didn't matter in that exact moment because they came back and scored. Yeah. But it's still if you don't score there, that's a horrible thing.
But Paul, the interception in overtime was even worse.
Yeah,
it was inexcusable. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was standing in the middle of the field with no one within 15 yards of him, and Carson Wentz decided to throw into double coverage to Michael Pittman, and the route was completely undercut. I mean, he cost them that game, period, and Frank Reich as well for not giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Makes absolutely no sense, but that's my rant on the Colts. We'll talk about them more in Thursday Night Football, but let's talk about running backs a little bit. At the running back position, I really like Elijah Mitchell this week against the Cardinals. I mean, if Kyler isn't 100% or doesn't play, I think that game could be kind of interesting. It could be a close game, and that's a great situation for Elijah Mitchell, who's been running really, really well for the 49ers. So we'll see what happens when Jeff Wilson comes back, but Elijah Mitchell looks like a pretty good rest of year candidate to have some success. I also really like Jeremy Mcnichols this week. I'm not sure if Adrian Peterson is going to be, fully installed into the offense. I don't even know if he'll be activated. I don't even think he's been activated technically yet.
Wearing number 8. Did you see that? He's wearing number 8.
I didn't. Yeah. Oh, wow. Julio's old number.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, if he gets activated, that's interesting. But I think Mcnichols, at least this week, actually gets more work than Adrian Pearson. That's a total guess, but it's speculation on my part. And then the other one is Myles Gaskin against the Texans. He's been up and down and up and down, but when he hits, he has really good weeks, and I think this could be a really good week against the Texans. As far as sits go, I would not play Mike Davis versus the Saints, and I would not play Khalil Herbert against Pittsburgh. I think both of those matchups are just really, really tough matchups for the running back, and I think both teams will probably be losing, so they might have to throw it a little bit more.
Okay, so you bring up Khalil Herbert. Okay, so here's the question I'm going to ask you then. Here are my options. Khalil Herbert, Tony Pollard, Devontae Booker, or Darrell Williams.
Okay, if Saquon's not playing, you're definitely playing Devontae Booker, right? I mean, Booker plays. Who do the Giants play? The Raiders?
The Raiders.
I would play him. I think he's the safest.
Okay.
I think he's the safest floor, especially because it looks like Shepard's going to be out again. So it might be Tony Galladay and then Booker, really.
Yeah.
I think they ruled out Saquon already.
Okay.
He's listed as out on my team.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Well, so good. I got him for this midseason push, and I'm going to keep him on the roster because who knows if Saquon doesn't get hurt again. So it's not like he's going to get dropped. I mean, there's no benefit to dropping him and picking somebody else up. But I'll tell you this, Grayson, in that league, that was like I'm 10th out of 10th on the waivers now, but after I did what I did that week and got 3 guys, just because I usually just set up different moves thinking I'm only going to get 1. Well, apparently my whole league was asleep at the wheel and I got all 3.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You should definitely trade one and try to get a bigger asset.
Well, our league finally had its first trade in 3 years because again, we've been doing it for 20. I've been doing it 20 years. Nobody trusts anybody. Nobody trusts anybody. So it's not good. And the guy who's won the league the most is in last place right now. So nobody's going to trade with him because we don't want him to win the league anymore. So that's one team you're not going to trade with. Even if he has a couple of assets you'd want, we're just not going to do it. Because somehow will like awake the sleeping dragon and it's just going to be on. All right, let's go wide receivers.
Okay, at wide receiver, I've been talking about the Miami Dolphins offense the whole time, and I just really like their offense against Houston this week. And Jalen Waddle is 5,600 this week. I think he's a great play in DFS. I even think Devontae Parker at 5,300 is also a pretty good play. So I really like that matchup and think that's a good one to exploit in DFS to try to get one of them on your roster. I like T. Higgins versus Cleveland. He's really coming on. You know, Jamar Chase is the headline. Jamar Chase is the superstar, whatever. T. Higgins has like 5 games where he has double-digit targets. So I will definitely take that, and I think he could have some success this week. And then also got on Thursday night, but with T.Y. Hilton out, Michael Pittman is a great play again against the Jets. He's really ascending, turning into a great player.
He's their number one receiver. T.Y. Hilton's not anymore. It's Michael Pittman Jr.
It is, but the week that T.Y. had his good week, Pittman was not very good.
Yeah.
So it just takes up more targets is the bigger conundrum there. So, yeah, I mean, Pittman's really he's a very, very good player. As far as sits go, I'm not playing Laviska Shenault. I mean, I don't know what's going on there, but the fact that Jamal Agnew is outplaying him, and it's not even outplaying him. Urban Meyer is scheming towards Jamal Agnew instead of Laviska Shenault. Makes no sense to me. Why would you not use your weapons? I don't get it, especially for a guy who said he wanted to take Kadarius Toney, and it's like, okay, Laviska Shenault is basically your Kadarius Toney. But whatever, that's for another day. And then I also I'm concerned about Tyler Boyd. So Cleveland, I like Joe Burrow this week. I like Jamar Chase, and I like T. Higgins, but I just feel like Tyler Boyd is so tough to trust. He had a good game last week. I'm not confident in throwing him in your lineup every single week. I think he's boom or bust.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything on the tight ends? Any interesting tight end matchups you see? Yeah,
I mean, outside of the usual, I really like Dallas Goedert against the Chargers. He's just getting more and more targets from Jalen Hurts. He seems like he's really coming into his own. Kyle Pitts versus the Saints. I don't think Atlanta's going to have too much success against the Saints defense, but Kyle Pitts is just, he's special. He's a special football player. And then I also like Tyler Higbee versus the Titans. I think he finally gets into the end zone this week, and he's had a rough year, but I think this is a game where he can start to turn it around a little bit.
Yeah, another guy I was surprised didn't get traded, Hayden Hurst from the Falcons.
Yeah. I'm surprised the Packers didn't get him or Ingram. Kind of weird.
Yeah, and Hurst maybe even a better fit based that he and Tunyon are a little bit more similar than Ingram.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, Paul, I mean, if you watch the Falcons play, I mean, they don't even use Pitts like a tight end.
Yeah.
So Hurst is still their tight end, and they just put Pitts at wide receiver. It's kind of weird that you're allowed to use him as a tight end because he does not block, and he's always on the outside. It's like, okay, so are we going to call Calvin Johnson a tight end?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. All right, when we come back, what's hurting Hayden in fantasy football this week and our daily fantasy draft for our Thursday night showdown captain contest. We're up like $5.50 the last 2 weeks, so watch out, world. Here we come.
Keep the momentum going.
Yeah, DraftKings quaking in their boots at the amount of money that we are taking from them. This is the Fantasy Football Show on 365 Sports, brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Here we go, last segment of the Fantasy Football Show for this week. We're missing Steve May. You see, he's not here. I imagine him here just for confidence sake, but he is out with his wife for her birthday. And happy birthday to Jennifer May. She's a wonderful person. I hope you all get to meet her one day because she's great. But happy birthday to Jennifer. Steve is out with her tonight, so it's just me, Grayson, and Hayden. And so the first thing we're going to do is Hayden's fantasy football team has turned into an absolute dumpster fire, comedy of errors, crap show.
All of the above.
All the above. So we did this for Armstrong last year, and he won his league. And the first time he played fantasy football. So, Grayson, we are going to now dedicate, down the stretch here, a weekly segment to helping Hayden get better at fantasy football.
Perfect. We can.
Yeah. We're very qualified to do it. Yeah. So, yeah. You broke up there a little bit, Grayson. So, but yes, your game for doing this.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, we win and lose as a team. So, unless we're playing each other, then screw you and your team. But, but all right, Hayden, let's go. Let's dive into this roster of yours.
Yeah, it's really upsetting because I started out 4-0 and then Saquon got hurt.
Yeah, turn yourself up just a little bit there, Hayden.
There we go. That sounds a little bit better, I think. Yeah, but anyways, I have 5 bye weeks. Mm-hmm. I have 5 guys on bye. And
okay, well, here's the thing. That's kind of fine, though, right, Grayson? Because down the stretch, then you're not going to have any buys.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but it's a lot nicer to not have those weeks where your whole team is on bye. I had that last week, and this week I'm missing like Hawkinson and Godwin in one of my leagues, and that's tough. That it becomes challenging for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. Let's give us your lineup for this week.
Okay. So my biggest issue right now is running back and receiver. I have Saquon was supposed to play until he tested positive for COVID, which we just found out. So I'm attempting to get Devontae Booker right now. Mm-hmm. So if I get him, that would be huge. For receiver, I just picked up Jarvis Landry. Thoughts on that?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, the Browns don't really have any other receivers, so especially in a bye week, I think that's fine. Don't you, Grayson?
Well, definitely happy with OBJ not practicing and basically being gone. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a play. He's the only guy left.
All right.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
And then my other receiver spot, I have Marquez Callaway playing over Laviska Shenault, and I don't really like either of those options at all.
All right. What is available on your free agent wire?
The guy I've been looking at is Kenny Golladay.
Okay.
Which I think would be a better option. And Van Jefferson or Christian Kirk. Those are the 3 that I've been looking at.
All right, Grace, I'm going to let you field this one first.
Yeah. Wow. That's tough. I think Kenny Golladay is the route I would go with Sterling Shepard out. I think he'd be the one I'd feel the most comfortable playing. I can't play Marquez Callaway with Taysom Hill at quarterback. I just don't see those two fitting very well. He was a much better fit for Jameis. I think Kenny G. I actually like Harris better from the Saints. I think he might fit into the Michael Thomas role. He might be a little bit closer to Kenny G, but I still think Kenny G is probably the guy if he plays. I don't know. Has he been officially ruled that he's going to play?
I don't see anywhere where it says that. He's still listed as questionable.
Yeah.
So it might be a game time decision, which
story of his career.
Right.
Yeah. And look, and when he's played, he's been very, very good. But let's see, average fantasy points this year, just not good. I mean, just not good. Let's see. The games he's played, 8, 4.5, 8, 14. So against New Orleans, and then he was out for a couple weeks. So I don't know. Yeah, it's not the best look for Kenny Golladay. But again, no Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. He's also, I mean, he's the future there, and a heck of a draft, like the one good draft pick I think Dave Gettleman's made in a while. But he's also questionable. So the whole Giants thing scares me. Now Christian Kirk is interesting if DeAndre Hopkins is out with that hamstring injury, but that's maybe, I mean, you might have to push that till the very end.
Yeah, I actually like him as a just potential dart throw. I mean, because there's a chance he could score 30 points for you. We've seen Christian Kirk do that. So, yeah, I mean, his floor is a little bit lower, so I think it kind of depends on your team. And it seems like with all your bye weeks, it wouldn't be the worst thing to kind of shoot for the stars a little bit.
Yeah. All right, anything else, Hayden, that we can help you with?
That's really it. I'm not playing a great team, so it's just sort of a survive and advance situation for me.
Okay.
So if I can get through this week, I'm sitting pretty for the playoffs. We'll get Saquon back, and I think I'll be in a good spot.
Okay, good deal. All right, good to know that. All right, let's get into our daily fantasy showdown captain draft for the Thursday night game. Colts and Jets. And we'll probably have more Colts than Jets, just guessing. One, because they're better, and two, because Grayson Grunhafer is drafting, and he's drafting first, and he's a Colts fan. So, Grayson, you have the first pick. Hayden, you'll have the second pick, and then I'll have the third pick, and then we might give Grayson the last two. I don't know. So, since it's a Colts game. All right, Grayson, first pick. Up to you. You're picking the captain.
Yeah, and, guys, we're going to take Jonathan Taylor with the captain.
17-4.
I know. I mean, it's expensive, and it's going to set us back, but I think he's the most sure thing in this game. And I think the Colts will be in this game, which means Taylor's going to get the ball an awful lot. I think he's the guy that we need to roll with the captain this week.
All right, Hayden.
How much is – I got all loud all of a sudden. Yeah. How much is Michael Pittman?
Michael Pittman is 10-2. Which would put us, we're at 32-6 right now, that would put us at 22-6, meaning our last four players would have to average about $6,000 apiece.
That's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
What about Mike White?
Mike White is at 9-8, so not really that much difference.
I'm going to defer my second pick to you so I can do a little research.
Okay, you're going to defer the second picks to me? Okay. I'm going to make it a little easier on you. I'm going to take Mo Alley Cox. I think he might be good for a touchdown this week.
I can see it. I like it.
All right. I didn't give you much time to do research, did I? All right. He's deferring again. He's deferred again. Now to you, Grayson.
Okay. I think I'll give us a little budget-friendly pick here, and let's go with the Colts defense this week.
Okay. A good defense at 5,000. All right, 22-4. So now we've got to average 7,400 down the stretch.
A little better.
Yeah. So we've given you some budget.
Okay, my fast research I've done, and I want your opinion, is Ty Johnson.
Okay.
Naheem Hines.
All right.
Who I just dropped from my fantasy team. Jamison Crowder interests me a little bit.
Grayson, I think I would go with Crowder here, wouldn't you?
Yeah, this is one that we're going to need you to keep an eye on, Paul, because if Corey Davis doesn't play,
he's doubtful.
Yeah, I think Jamison Crowder's a great play.
Okay, well then we'll go there.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay,
that sounds good to me.
All right, Grayson. I'm gonna give back to you here. This is a Colts game. We want to win money. I trust your input on this more than anyone.
Okay, so we got 14-6.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone good at 4,000? I mean, I don't really want to go all Colts here, but I think that we need to find a way to get either Carson Wentz or Michael Pittman on this team.
Yeah.
I think. Which one do you like better this week?
I'd rather have. I mean, look, it's 10-8 or 10-2, so it doesn't really matter at this point. You know, whoever we draft in that last spot is going to be in the budget box category. Yeah. So. I love Michael Pittman Jr., but, I mean, Carson Wentz playing against the Jets, and they're terrible. I mean, Jonathan Taylor complicates this because I feel like they're going to rush for more touchdowns than they're going to throw for, right?
Yeah, or they rush for 200 yards, and Wentz happens to get the touchdowns. But on the flip side, maybe Michael Pittman goes, 5 for 120 and a touchdown, and then we regret that. But I'm good with either one. I think that, for me, I think there's a chance that they run it a ton and that Wentz maybe only throws the ball 20 times, in which case Wentz wouldn't have a good game, but I still think Michael Pittman would.
Okay, we'll go with Pittman. We'll go with Pittman because that gives us 4,400 to make a pick, and that would give us Badgley, Amendola, Braxton Berrios, Denzel Mims, old friend.
Oh man,
Marlon Mack at $800.
Wow. This is tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking kicker though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking Badgley.
All right. We'll go Badgley, and that leaves us no money left. So we spent every single dollar. Because if we had say we went for Marlon Mack, that means that the Colts are running with two guys all night long, and then we could have gone back and spent maybe more money on a different player. But I think this is good because here, really, the only person you feel that you're missing out on in this lineup, and you could not do all three without doing nothing but budget guys down the line. I mean, you want Jonathan Taylor, you want Michael Pittman, or you want Carson Wentz. And so we miss out on Carson Wentz.
The only other one that I see that I'm kind of like, oh man, like, is he for real or not, is Michael Carter.
Yeah.
That's the only one where I'm sitting there going, that the Colts have been great against. I think they're going to be down. I do a lot of dump offs to Michael Carter, which, I don't know. What's y'all's thoughts on that? If we went Carter over Pittman?
No. I like where we're at. I like where we're at.
Okay.
I don't trust the Jets as fun as Mike White was last week. The Colts defense is a lot better. I like where we're at here. I like where we are.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. Entered for $1. Watch out, DraftKings. We're coming for your money. But yeah, there we go. There's our daily fantasy, which would be Taylor, the Colts defense, Mo Alley-Cox, Michael Badgley, Jamison Crowder, and Michael Pittman Jr. For Grayson Grundhoefer and Hayden Bumpus, and for Steve May, who's not here, I'm Paul Catalina. This is the Fantasy Football Show. Have a great football weekend, everybody.